Welcome back. Welcome back to the hangar. Did I destroy my starter motor? Well, I put an amp probe on the starter motor line, and well, watch the video. You'll see.
Well, welcome back to the hangar. Last episode, I asked you guys to vote on where the beacon should go, top or bottom. The overwhelming vote, both on YouTube and other social media platforms, is the top. And I tend to agree. I think so. So I'm going to mount this beacon on the top and finish off some wiring that needs to be done to get that accomplished, and carry on. I haven't been here in the hangar for since the last video that I recorded. At least 3 weeks ago. Been really busy, I mean, one of the things I'm busy with is the flying school. On the weekends, I get to fly, and I'm trying to get it done as quick as I can, because I cannot legally fly this thing till I have a piece of paper that says pilot. So there. Anyways, yeah, we'll carry on. I'm just going to leave the camera run, and when I get to editing, I'll chop out the boring parts, which is probably 99.9% of it. And if there's something that I think might be of interest, I shall pipe up and let you know. So, again, this should be just a very short video of a few things, tying up some more loose ends before I actually do some taxi testing and that kind of stuff. But yes, that's going to have to start very soon. I have, from the EAA, a checklist of things to do in order when you build an aircraft. Now, I didn't build this thing from scratch. I tore it apart and rebuilt it. But I'm going to be following that checklist. And so we'll get that started, and part of the checklist items, of course, is after calibrating of all instruments, including my compass needs to be calibrated, is taxi test and all that kind of stuff, and just driving around here on the grass. So no crow hops or no anything on the runway, none of that stuff. I'm going to reserve that till I actually get a pilot's license, and then and that kind of stuff. But before I take this off the ground myself, there's a number of other Challenger 2 owners here at the airport that I'm at, and yeah, they'll be taking me up in theirs and kind of showing me this is how much rudder you need, and this is how it flies different than what I'm normally flying. So, which is a Piper Warrior and a Piper Cherokee for training. So this does not fly like a Cherokee. The PA-28-141, nor does it fly like a Warrior, a PA-28-160. It flies like a Challenger 2. So there's some transition training I would like to take, and yeah, I've got some very wonderful people here at the airport who are also owners that are willing to take me up and show you. So, anyways, carry on, and thanks for following along. And I'm noticing I'm getting subscriptions coming in. That's great. I love it when you guys subscribe. It really helps me. To motivate me is how it helps me. And the likes and the comments, that kind of stuff. It's that interaction with all of you guys out there in YouTube world. Well, I enjoy it. Anyways, pitter patter. Let's get at her. And that's my phone ringing. Yeah, I know you guys can't see anything. I'm just crimping on some ends for these Molex plugs. This is the outside air temperature connections, and the outside air temperature probe is right there, which you saw from the last video. Okay, a little more calibration still needs to be done, but I now have an outside air temperature probe, 22 Celsius or 71 Fahrenheit here inside the hangar. It feels hotter than that because the humidity is through the roof. We had a major thunderstorm and heavy rain that caused flooding the earliest morning, and now outside it is about 32 Celsius, which is in the mid-90s Fahrenheit outside, and it's very humid. So the interesting part is density altitude here shows, well, it's bouncing almost 100 feet. Oh, it's because the temperature is bouncing up and down by 1 degree Celsius. So about 1,550 feet density altitude here, and the elevation at this airport is, I believe it's 780 feet.
20 minutes later.
Okay. So my outside air temperature probe is in. It's showing 70 degrees. And I've got it over here, 70 degrees Fahrenheit. I might change that to Celsius. Probably will, because I'm in Canada. And the density altitude is 1485 feet. Not in meters, it's in feet, because, well, yeah. So anyways, there we go. Now my outside air temperature probe is working, and it's giving me my density altitude. I have not calibrated my altimeter yet, so this is actually showing 645 feet. It's about 100 feet low. So that has to be calibrated yet, as well as the compass has to be calibrated yet. And yeah, so those things need to be done. But so now the outside air temperature probe is working and functioning. Cylinder head temperature shows 76. It's interesting, these are showing 76 degrees, but the outside air temperature probe only shows 70. But then again, the probe itself is touching the wing, the aluminum on the wing, and I think that's probably cooling it down a little bit. We'll have to see. Or it just may not be accurate. I don't know, is there a calibration for that? Let me take a look. Set menu. There's an altimeter calibration. I don't know. It's getting its outside air temperature from the EIS, so maybe that's...
Two very boring minutes later.
No, I don't think there's a calibration for that outside air temperature probe. I don't believe so anyways. Let's go display unit maintenance.
A few moments later.
Let's see, is there anything here? I don't think so.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
Okay. AHARS, is it part of that?
1 hour later.
Alright, software version.
Just then.
Alright, well. There we go. Tiny little thing accomplished, but it's there. Let's shut this down. Astro. Okay. Not sure if you guys are going to be able to see this, but one of the questions I have is how much current is the starter motor drawing when I hit the starter switch? How much is it pulling out of this battery? Now this battery is not fully charged. Currently it's at about 12.2 volts, which is actually good. I'd like to test it with a slightly drawn battery because that's when the starter motor draws more energy. I want to see what its, not worst case scenario is, but you know, a hard case scenario if you want to call it. So I'm going to hook this thing up and I am going to zero it, set it. So let's set here minimum and maximum. Will it fit around there? No, maybe not. There we go. Now the display is upside down. I don't think you guys can see it, but I've got on record mode so it'll record the minimum and the maximum. Let's see what happens. Now, the mags are off. There are no obstructions. There's no one else here in the hangar, so if I say clear prop, I'm saying clear prop to myself. Clear prop to myself. Oh, it went into overload. It means it's higher than 40 amps. Okay. Let's turn that off. Back on again. It's zeroed. Let's see. Really? Okay. Well, that's interesting. At continuous rotation, when I hit the starter motor, I let it run, I was seeing about an average between 110 to 150 amps getting drawn out of this thing. Maximum, well, this shot, the max went to 316 amps DC. That's right. That's a lot. That's an awful lot. Well, but it's running constant at about 150. Okay, well, let's try this again. I'm going to reverse this to see whether it, because it was showing me negative amps, I'm going to flip that around. Actually, let's put it right here so I can watch it. Yep, 315. Oh, that was bumpy. Sorry. 315. And it was averaging 160 amps. I got to call Rotax and find out where that starter motor of mine is in need of service. To me, that says either windings or brushes, or maybe that's just how much it draws. I don't have anything to compare it with. But that's a lot. That's an awful lot. Okay. Good to know. If there's anybody out there, okay, no, let me rephrase that, because I get a lot of people with advice who work on snowmobiles or something like that, and they don't work on this engine from Rotax with these starters. If you've experienced something like this and you have a Rotax 503 DC DI engine electric start, let me know if that's normal or if you've ever measured it. I'm going to call Bob in British Columbia. I'm going to ask him, what does he think of that? And I'm going to ask him before I post this video, and I'm going to let you know what he says. Maybe in a little video comment from my desktop where I do my editing, or maybe in a label or something that shows up underneath me. The engine starts. I mean, if I pushed it out of the hangar and turned the mags on, that engine would fire up. That's not the problem. My problem is it supposed to draw that much current? I don't think so, but I could be wrong. I don't have the experience with this engine to find out. That's what I'm doing. That's why I brought this for my home workshop, to test it. And yeah, we'll see what... You and I will both find out the official word, but if you have had this on your aircraft, your 503, a similar issue, let me know. I am curious to find out that. Not snowmobile or boat engines or anything else like that. No, come on, guys. Okay, I know everybody wants to give advice, but this is an airplane, and there are things that well, let me put it this way. I listen to some people, and other people I'll just nod and smile. So, yeah. And I hope you understand why, because it's my life if something happens to this thing. And so I'm going to talk to Bob. I'm going to let everybody know what he says. But leave it in the comments what you found in your travels, that kind of stuff, if you've seen this. Even if you've seen what my answer is after talking to Bob. Let me know. I'm curious to see what anybody else has had for an experience with that. So, onward and upward. At least my outside air temperature probe works, and it's giving me density altitude. That's a bonus. So, pitter patter, let's get out there. Okay, it's the next week, and when I left you guys off, it was the big question, the burning question was the current draw on that starter motor. It seemed very, very high. And so I made a phone call to Bob Robertson out in British Columbia, who is the expert, bar none, of the Rotax engines, and his words to me were exactly this: there is no published specifications for the current draw on those motors, the electric start motors. Okay, so he made a suggestion to do a little experimenting. Oh, sorry about the tilt in the camera there. And so I did some experimenting. I added a ground strap directly to the motor and everything else, and I tested it, and same numbers. Oh, I wonder if that's drawing too much power. And then I got a hold of a starter motor that was not mounted to anything. All right, just sitting there. And so this starter motor is running between 120 and 160 amps, turning that engine over. Without an engine hooked up to a starter motor, another one, that just on the vise, hook up a battery to it, measure the current draw. Now, it didn't have the 325 to 350 amp spike and then settling down to the 120, 160 range as the engine's running. It didn't have that spike. But it did draw 110 amps, spinning freely. Okay. Well, you can't have two bad in a row. And now the motors were slightly different, but exactly the same specs and that kind of stuff. And bottom line, there's nothing wrong with it. That is how much they draw when they rotate that engine. Between 120 and 160 amps, because each pulse and pressure, that kind of stuff, you're going to see it up and down, is normal for that starter motor. Good to know. So the 80 amp breaker that I installed in that line in the battery bay to protect from the starter motor shorting out and starting a fire, well, I ordered a 200 amp one. and it's exactly the same size, but it's 200 amps, and I got to put it in there because at 80 amp, after about 8-9 seconds of rotating the engine, would snap. Well, obviously, because it's drawing 120 to 160 amps, it's rated to 80, it just goes on and let go, which it was supposed to do. But that means that, that you can't start the engine if it's really cold, that kind of stuff. So anyways, I've got the new breaker on order. I will replace that, and that settles that. It is normal for that high of a load. And on a second one, we also tested the starter motor for that Lycoming engine there. Same thing. We put it in a vise and we hooked it up to battery and amp probe, and it also drew, get this, 110 amps, just like the one on this Rotax engine. Go figure. So, two other starter motors drawing the same current at 110. This one drawing 120 to 160 to rotate an engine. I'd call that normal. So, if anybody was guessing out there while you're watching earlier in the video, which I'm not sure how long earlier it'll be, this is probably a short video, that's the answer. So anyways, thanks for watching. I appreciate that. And yeah, we will see you again here in the hangar. Remember to like and subscribe, and always remember, keep your stick on the ice. Bye for now.
Boy, that was a relief to find out I did not damage the starter motor. Saved me a lot of money finding that one out. Thanks for watching. See you again in the hangar.